Hi, this is Kathie. Welcome to Craft with Kathie.
On the agenda is Patriotic Decor. And I'm not talking about that stuff that you buy at the store, use for one season, and then toss out. Everything I'm going to make tonight is rather substantial and will last you for year after year. And to aid in that, I'm going to be using this transfer called Star Cutout. It is our largest size transfer. It is 18 by 24 inches and basically has a couple different designs on it which can be cut out and will be cut out. I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. If you would take a moment to let me know where you're watching from. I always like to know where my viewers are. That makes it kind of fun. And as we go along, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment box and I will answer them as I see them. Sometimes there's a little bit of delay and sometimes I don't see any comments until I'm done. Unfortunately, there's some little issues with Facebook lately. I'm going to remove this transfer from its packaging. All of our transfers come in a cellophane-like envelope that I save and put them back into when I'm done using them. And then I hang them up. Our cellophane envelopes have a little hang tag at the top, and basically I use these little clips and just hang them in an armoire, and that's what works for me. Yes, this is a little large and unwieldy. What can I say? I'm going to do 3 different projects tonight, and I'm going to use some canvas, our 5 by 5 inch box frame, double-sided box frame, and one of our little mini tags. But before I could do that, I need to cut this transfer apart. And our transfers come with cut lines. You can see the white lines here. Our transfers are made out of vinyl, which is the teal, and silk screen. And you're seeing through the silk screen to the backer or the carrier sheet on the back. Our transfers are adhesive backed, reusable, good for 8 to 12 uses or more. So I'm going to use my transfer trimmers to cut across the cut lines. They were specifically developed for our transfers. They're Teflon coated, which makes it real easy to cut through the adhesive. It doesn't gum up the blades or anything. So they're a real joy, and they have a longer blade. So it makes short work of cutting apart your transfers. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different pieces in this transfer. And I'm not going to be doing the stars tonight. My star cutouts were supposed to be arriving Friday. I know there was a little bit of issue with them, just like there is with so many things since this pandemic started. And they were on a ship waiting to be unloaded for a couple weeks or whatever. And they're in the warehouse now, but from what I'm seeing from FedEx, they were supposed to be delivered Thursday and then I think Friday, and as of today, they're not going to be here by Friday. So that's a disappointment, but I'll work around it. Our stars are just like all the rest of our cutouts or our shelf sitters. They're made from wood, they're whitewashed, they're heavy and substantial, they're 3/4 inch thick. So there's something that you could use season after season after season. And I'm assuming, I haven't actually, well, I shouldn't say that I'm assuming, I do know that they're different. Our star cutouts will come in a 3-pack, 3 different sizes. This is the small, the medium, and the large. So they promise to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be using the Freedom, the Star Stripes, and Forever, and the USA established 1776. I knew that. I always think of EST as estimated as opposed to established. Okay. We don't want to even go into that. The estimated time for a project. So you can see how quickly it is to cut these out. Okay, and then I'm going to be using some wood, and because I'm going to be using wood, I'm going to wax it. But actually, before I do that, I am going to paint this tag with our candy apple red. Our chalk paste is made from chalk. It is not chalk paint. It is definitely chalk paste. Totally different thing. And I'm going to put a little bit dab of chalk paste into one of our color or our chalk trays here. It's probably a little bit too much, but we'll see. And then spray just a tiny little bit of distilled water in it to thin it down just to here. And mix it up. I only thin down my paste like this when I'm painting with it, as opposed to when I'm using it on the transfers. I grabbed one of our tags, but what I actually grabbed was a tag I had previously waxed for a different project. So let me, hopefully I didn't wax the other side because I wanted to go with an unwaxed tag for painting. Okay, big difference. And you can see the other side, the chalk paste was beating up because of the wax on the surface. And the reason you thin it down before using the paste to paint with is just so that it goes on a little bit easier, a little bit smoother, a little bit more spreadability, if you will. Our chalk paste is water soluble, which makes cleanup a breeze. Hold that still with my little tool here. And the nice thing about being able to use our chalk paste to paint with, in addition to using it to transfer the images to our surfaces, is that it's totally color coordinated. It'll match anything that I also use it to chalk with a transfer. Okay. So I'm going to put this aside to dry and clean up my surface a little bit. I realize the streaming, it looks, at least on my laptop, it looks orange. This is definitely a candy apple red. And it still looks orange on my laptop. Obviously, I need to adjust my color settings. So if it happens to look orange to you, no, it truly is candy apple red. Okay, so because I'm going to be using this box frame and chalking on it, I always want to wax my wood before chalking, so that twofold, I don't pull up anything from the wood onto the back of my adhesive transfer, and also so that if I make a mistake, I can clean it up or wipe it off quickly and it not be an issue. And I'm just going to use our surface wax. I love our surface wax as opposed to some of the other products that are out there. Ours has absolutely no scent to it, and it just goes on so much smoother and easier. It's really easy to use. So I'm just grabbing a piece of paper towel to apply my surface wax. And there's no need to let it dry and rub it off. I just rub it in and rub it off. Now I'm going to rub it off. Making sure that I have any wax that's on my frame, that I remove that as I go along here. I love our double-sided box frames. The surface is recessed. One side is the natural wood, the other side is whitewashed. So you can put a design on each side. So I might want to use the white side for Independence Day, and maybe I'll use the natural side in the fall for some fall decor or for Halloween, whatever. One surface, two uses. Hi Terry from Kansas, how you doing? One other thing I want to do before I start using our transfers, excuse me, is I have a couple bamboo excuse me, dry throat, bamboo skewers, and I just wanted to quickly paint one. I'm just going to throw a little bit of chalk paste on, or shimmer paste on this paper towel, and wipe down my skewer with it. So now my bamboo skewer has a little gold hint to it, or coating to it. So I'm also going to set that aside to dry. Onto the box frame. I've cut out the Stars and Stripes Forever, and that's what I'm going to use in my box frame. Now I could do two different things with this. I could actually cut this transfer so that it fits inside the 5x5 box, or I could just wrap the edges up the side as I do it, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I probably don't really need the excess vinyl here, but I think I can handle it. I think I could work with it, so we'll go with that. And before I could use the transfer, I need to fuzz it, and somewhere I lost a fuzzy cloth. Let me just grab one. Our fuzzing cloths are dual-sided. One side is terry cloth that we use for the fuzzing. The other side is microfiber that we use for cleaning our chalkboards and for drying our transfers. Now, what is fuzzing? Fuzzing is deliberately applying lint from the cloth onto the back of the adhesive transfer. And you might say, why on earth would you want to do something like that? Well, the purpose is to make the transfer not as sticky as it already is. We want to diminish the adhesion of the transfer so that when I lift it or pull it off, it's not a battle to do it. And really on wood, it's not that much of a, it's not that difficult. Even on chalkboards, on our premium chalkboards or 8-in boards, it's a little bit more difficult to remove a transfer. It sticks very, very solidly. They're magnetic and they're very smooth. They're very high quality. So I fuzz more if I'm putting a transfer on an 8-in, or if I'm putting it on glass metal mirror, I fuzz more. For wood, I don't need to fuzz quite as much because it generally is not difficult to lift up. And when you apply the lint, after you're done using your transfer and you clean it, you remove it, and that renews the stickiness. So it's just part of the process. It's no real big deal, actually. And if you don't have a fuzzing cloth, you can use a towel or a shirt or a pair of jeans, whatever has a little bit of lint. So I'm going to center this. Just want to kind of check that out. And then smooth it down, usually from the inside out. Making sure there aren't any air bubbles underneath my silkscreen portion, or the part that we're seeing through to the surface below. Now let me just check to make sure this is aligned properly. It looks, I think it looks fine. Okay. So I'm going to use some of my Candy Apple Red paste, my gold, and underneath here I have my Cadet Blue. And I just stuck my finger right in there. Good thing it's water soluble, right? Okay, so I'm going to use a squeegee. Sometimes I use a stir stick to apply it. Sometimes I put my squeegee right in the jar of paste. This is a brand new jar. I know it's the new Creamy Dreamy formula. It's a nice, beautiful consistency. You always want your paste to be somewhat between a yogurt and a sour cream consistency. And then I'm just going to apply it to my transfer, pushing it through the silk screen, which really doesn't require much effort at all. Spreading it over it, making sure I have it fully covered. And then I'm going to remove the excess and get rid of any lines that might be there. Putting the excess back into the jar. No sense in wasting it. I'm going to do the word stripes in blue and the Cadet Blue. Same process. I just have to be careful not to run into the words beneath it. So I'll probably go from top towards the bottom here, and then I'll turn it and go from bottom to top. Gives me a little bit more control and I can see what I'm doing. Then I'm going to wipe up the excess, take off any excess, smooth any lines. Return it back to the jar. My shimmer gold is well used and well loved. I had to actually add a little bit of distilled water to it. It was getting kind of thick down here. Obviously I use this quite frequently. I have another jar. Ooh, this thing, it's set out here for a while and it looks like it's thickened up quite a bit. I probably should have added a little bit more of distilled water to it. When you add distilled water, you use distilled water because you don't want any chance of the minerals in tap water interfering with the pigments of the paste. And if your paste is too thin, if you've added too much, you just leave it set out a bit and it'll dry right up, which is what mine did. I had it setting out too long. I thought I was okay with it. So we'll see how this goes. Just getting the top of my letters. Now I'm doing the bottom. I'm going to remove any excess and any lines. Back into my jar. I'm going to lift up the transfer. When you lift the transfer, you always want to lift from the top or the bottom, the left or the right. You never want to pull or tug on a corner because our transfers, though made of vinyl and silkscreen, they're still like fabric. And by pulling on a corner, I could actually stretch it and distort it a little bit. Voila! Simple and easy. And this transfer does have a distressed font, so my letters are distressed intentionally. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I think it looks pretty cool myself. And like I said, you could use it year after year after year. It's going to hold up. Okay, now I'm going to let my tag dry a little bit longer. We'll come back to that. And the same, okay. Our transfers can be used on different surfaces. We've just used it on wood. I mentioned that you could use it on metal and mirror. I'm going to actually add a spritz of water because I'm going to use a little bit more gold in here for the next project. So let me add a little water there and mix this up a bit. Nothing like to the bottom of the jar here. Okay, that feels good. Looks good. Oh, maybe a little bit more water. Still a little clumpy. But we could also use our chalk paste on fabric. Now I'm going to use chalk paste on canvas with the intent that this canvas would not be left outside in the rain. If it was something that I was going to leave out and potentially get wet, then I would use, instead of our chalk paste, our chalk ink. Our chalk ink is permanent. It needs to be heat set. Our chalk paste is not permanent and does not need to be heat set. So that's basically the difference between them and why you would use one over the other. Just cap that up. So because I'm not intending on leaving this out in the rain or it getting wet, I'm going to go with the chalk paste. And this is just a piece of canvas. It actually is from one of our canvas refills that I just cut to size. And I'm going to put USA established 1776 on it. And I cut this a little bit longer because once I've chalked this, and it dries of course, then I'm going to hot glue it to my gold skewer. So I'll just basically wrap this around it, the edge of it around, and hot glue it. Actually, I don't need to fuzz it. I'm not thinking. I'm going on canvas, which is like fabric, so there's no need to really fuzz it for the canvas. So let me just apply it. Center it. Then I want to smooth it down, making sure there's no air bubbles. If I had fuzzed it, I run the risk that it wouldn't stick quite enough. So I'm probably better off not fuzzing it. And then I'm going to do USA in the blue and Establish 1776 in the gold. And it helps if I hold this down as I go across so that there's no weight to this canvas like there is to a frame board or whatever. So this will just, I could hold it in place with my fingers. Same thing, cover all the silk screen, remove the excess, get rid of any lines, put it back in the jar. And I'm going to grab my gold, apply my gold chalk paste. I want to make sure I didn't have chalk on my fingers here. Okay, I wasn't sure if I had enough paste on here or not. Looks like I'm finally getting it. This is a little dry yet. I need to work on cleaning that jar up. Okay, I've removed the excess. I'm going to make sure I don't have chalk paste on my fingers, and I'm going to just lift the transfer up. I want to check to make sure it looks good. I'm going to come back over here. My 1 and my 6 look a little light, so my paste was still a little thick. Let me add a little bit more. Squeegee it again and take a look at what it looks like. With fabric, it's easy for the chalk paste to be absorbed very quickly, so you have to use a little bit more than you would when you're chalking on other surfaces. Okay, that looks much better. I have a little paste. I don't really want to mess it up, so I'm going to just set this aside. I'm not going to hot glue it tonight. I'll let this dry and then just basically hot glue it, so then I have this little mini banner that I could have some floral foam and stick the skewer in that. Or I could have actually done this on a longer piece, and maybe I want to make something with an embroidery hoop and use the canvas banner within it. Just some ideas. Got a lot of different things coming in the next couple days with our Patriotic transfers. I'm going to clean this transfer, show you how to do that right now. You could run it over to the sink, rinse it off. You could put it in a water bath and remove the chalk paste for it, or you could do it on your surface. And this is a small transfer, so I'm going to wet my surface, set it down, wet the top of the transfer. And then I'm going to use a disinfectant wipe to remove the excess chalk paste. Hang on, too much stuff sitting on my lap. No reason for me to be holding a roll of paper towels. It's craziness. Now, because this is the Cadet Blue is a darker pigmented paste, it is probably going to stain my transfer somewhat. It actually has no impact on its usability I generally will use a board eraser to clean it off, but I don't have one handy. The board eraser will remove a lot of the staining, no big deal, but it doesn't hurt the transfer at all. And I'm going to remove the paste from the back of it. I usually use a circular motion to remove any excess paste. With your little transfers, you might have to hold them down if you're vigorously cleaning them like this. And once I have the front and the back totally cleaned off, then depending upon how my wipe looks, I might use a new one, I might use the one I was using, but I want pretty much a clean surface, and I just want to wipe across and remove any lint that was picked up. Now this is not going to have a whole lot of lint because it was canvas, but still there might be something there. And that's it for cleaning the transfers. Just, you don't want to leave them sitting with paste in them because you want to keep that silk screen free of paste for the next time when you use it. To speed the drying of this a little bit, I'm going to put it on the microfiber side of my fuzzing cloth, sticky side up, fold over my cloth, squeeze out any moisture, and then set it aside to dry. Once it's dry, I'm going to set it aside to dry, sticky side up, and you can see it's already getting pretty sticky again. Once it's dry, I'll put its backing or carrier sheet on it. You always want to put the shiny side against the sticky side or the shiny side of the transfer. And when you apply this, always have the transfer on a flat surface and apply the backer to it instead of trying to do the reverse. It just makes it much easier. So let me set this aside to dry. I'm already stuck to it. And we'll take a look at this tag. I think that's dry. So I'm going to put the word freedom in white chalk paste on my little mini tag. So again, I want to fuzz my transfer. And I'm going to try and center it. I might trim these down. I like being able to have a better idea size-wise where it is. But this looks good. I'm not right up to the little hole for a tag, and it looks like I'm centered top to bottom. So this is good. Just smooth it down. I have an air bubble here. I'm going to lift it, smooth that out. Okay. And then my white chalk paste. I have a tendency to use our mini squeegees. Oh, here's one that's perfect. I think probably because they just fit in the jar and it's easier and quicker for me to apply the paste. But we have a whole set of different sizes, from our minis up to a nice big 4-inch one with a handle that is great for applying it to very large transfers. Okay, I'm smoothing the paste over it, making sure I've got good coverage, removing any lines. I'm going to lift the transfer. How's that for quick and easy? So let's take a look at what we have. Our freedom tag, our little canvas banner that's going to go on a skewer. We'll just wrap this around it and hot glue it. And our Stars and Stripes Forever on our box frame. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.